All right, so we're going to be diving into a story today that's, it's pretty much ingrained in our culture at this point. Jesus and the temptation in the desert.
Yeah.
We all know it. We've all heard it. But
Yeah.
today we're going deeper than that. We're going past the Sunday school version.
Exactly. I think we all kind of grow up with that very surface level understanding.
Yeah.
And it's easy to just kind of stay there. But, what we're trying to do is use these sources to really unlock a whole new layer of meaning to this story.
Right. And that's, I think, where it gets really interesting because a lot of times, we picture Jesus in the desert and it's this solitary figure.
Right.
But the source material that we're looking at suggests that it was less about being alone and more like almost like essential training for his purpose. It's like a spiritual boot camp almost.
Well, and it really highlights something critical about Jesus's motivation here.
Right. Okay.
This wasn't about fulfilling God's will out of some sort of obligation. This was out of profound love.
Yeah.
And just imagine for a moment carrying the weight of every soul, every soul who's ever lived, knowing the sacrifice that was to come. That's the kind of pressure cooker we're talking about.
Okay, so that's a pretty intense image.
Yeah.
How does someone even begin to process that? And I think this is where the source material gets really insightful.
Okay.
It points out that despite that burden, despite all of that pressure, Jesus's thoughts weren't consumed by fear.
Yeah.
He was focused on the outcome. He was focused on the hope of redemption.
Yeah, and it's not just about positive thinking either.
Right.
It's that this focus, this unwavering focus, is directly tied to his obedience.
Okay.
So when Satan is tempting Jesus, it's not just with, earthly kingdoms or power. It's about offering a shortcut,
Oh, wow.
a way to bypass the suffering that he knows he's destined for.
And that's where I think those two paths really diverge. And the source material really emphasizes this idea of shortcuts versus sacrifice.
Yeah.
And that if Jesus had given in, it wouldn't have been just about him taking the easy way out.
Right.
But it would have had these devastating consequences for everybody else.
Exactly. And, the source actually details a few of these potential shortcuts.
Okay.
And let me tell you, they're pretty chilling to think about. They're really kind of disturbing when you start to go down those roads.
Okay.
But we can unpack those a little bit.
Yeah, let's dig into that.
Yeah.
Because I want to understand, what are those possibilities?
Yeah.
What are those alternate paths that the source material is laying out here?
Okay, so imagine a world
Okay.
where salvation was achieved through force
Oh, wow.
or manipulation,
Okay.
where love was conditional, transactional even.
Yeah.
These are the kind of chilling possibilities that the source is hinting at.
So it really raises the stakes.
It does.
Because it's not just about, Jesus resisting a few temptations. It becomes much bigger than that. And I think this is where the story kind of transcends just the biblical narrative.
Yeah.
Because we all face these moments of choice, this internal crossroads.
Absolutely. We may not have the, a literal devil in front of us offering us, kingdoms and such.
Right.
But how often do we grapple with taking the easy way out?
It's so true.
Choosing instant gratification over long-term fulfillment.
Absolutely. And that's where I think this story really connects with people.
It does.
On a personal level, because we've all been there.
It's that classic struggle between our better angels and, I guess, our not-so-angelic impulses.
Right. And the source describes it as this battle that plays out in the silence of the desert where nobody's watching. It's just you and the echoes of your own desires.
And that's where our character is truly tested, isn't it?
I think so.
It's one thing to be good when everyone's watching.
Yeah.
But it's those solitary moments when we face our own temptations that reveal who we really are.
It's like the desert becomes this metaphor for our internal struggles.
It does.
Those times when we feel isolated, tempted to compromise our values.
Precisely. And the source makes a fascinating connection here.
Okay.
It suggests that Jesus' experience in the desert wasn't just about passing a test.
Okay.
It was about forging his spirit.
Wow.
Preparing him for the ultimate sacrifice.
So these challenges that we face, these temptations that we resist, even the mistakes that we make along the way, they can actually become opportunities for growth.
Absolutely.
If we let them.
It's about recognizing that even when we stumble, even when we fall short of our own ideals, there's always a choice to be made.
Okay.
We can either let those experiences harden us,
Right.
or we can allow them to refine us.
It's like Almost like intense heat. You can either shatter metal,
right,
or you can strengthen it.
Exactly.
Depending on how it's handled.
Yeah, it's a good analogy.
And I think that's a powerful analogy because it's about allowing those fiery trials to actually forge us into something stronger, more resilient.
More resilient, yeah.
But it's not just about us, is it?
Well, right. This is a two-hander, right?
Right.
We've got to talk about the other side of this.
Right. The source also delves into the psyche of the other key player here.
Yeah.
Satan.
And here's where I think the narrative takes an interesting turn.
Okay.
You see, it's easy to view Satan as this one-dimensional villain.
Right.
Driven purely by malice.
Yeah, like a cartoon character.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
But the source that we're looking at actually paints a far more nuanced portrait.
Okay, so what do we see when we kind of go a little deeper on that front?
Well, for one thing, it suggests that there might be a profound sense of regret.
Oh, interesting.
Simmering beneath all that rage.
Okay.
And temptation.
Right.
So that's just pure evil.
Yeah, there's something else going on there.
Right.
And I think to really understand this, you have to imagine the weight of that fall from grace.
Yeah.
I mean, to go from being an angel of light to the ruler of darkness, right? I mean, that's a heavy burden to carry.
Okay.
And it's almost as if in tempting Jesus, Satan is desperately trying to justify his own choices to prove that he made the right decision.
So it's almost like a need to believe in a way.
It is. It's like he needs to believe that he made the right choice.
Because if he didn't, then what does that say?
Exactly. It throws his entire existence into question.
Right. And there's this one passage in the source material that always gets me.
Okay.
It describes Satan looking out
at
the vastness of creation
and
realizing the profound emptiness.
It's like this hollow victory, even if he wins.
Right.
Even if he corrupts humanity, it won't bring back what he's lost.
It's such a powerful image.
It is. And it's sad in a way.
It is sad.
Because it's this glimpse into the consequences of choosing pride over love.
100%.
But I think it also raises this really interesting question.
What's that?
Could Satan have chosen differently?
Well, that's a great question.
And what does that mean for us?
Yeah.
For our own ability to choose love, even when we've made mistakes in the past.
That's something to really sit with.
Right. And I think that's what we're going to unpack a little bit more.
Yeah, let's do that.
It's like this story is giving us this cosmic game of what if?
Right.
What if he had gone down a different path? What if any of us facing these challenges and these choices could rewrite our own stories?
And I think what's so powerful about this story is that it doesn't dwell on the what ifs.
Right.
It focuses on the power of choice in the present moment.
Right.
It reminds us that we're not defined by our past mistakes, but by how we choose to move forward.
It's like that moment when Jesus comes back from the desert, having resisted these temptations.
Yeah.
The source material describes him as both strengthened and filled with compassion.
Yeah.
He had walked through fire. He faced the darkness.
He did.
And he came out even more committed to his purpose.
And I think that's the incredible takeaway here, right? It's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's not about never stumbling. It's about allowing those experiences to refine us, to deepen our empathy, to make us more understanding of our own struggles.
Yeah.
And honestly, the struggles of others.
So how do we apply that to our own lives?
Yeah.
I mean, we're not all,
Right.
facing down Satan in the wilderness.
Yeah, it's not always that literal.
Right. But we all have these moments where we're tempted to take the easy way out or compromise our values.
So what can we learn from Jesus's resilience that might help us navigate those personal wildernesses?
It's a good question.
One key lesson, I think, is the importance of focusing on the outcome.
Okay.
Just like Jesus did.
Yeah.
When you're faced with a difficult choice, ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to be on the other side of this?
It's about playing the long game.
Exactly.
It's about
the legacy you're creating.
The legacy.
Not just for ourselves, but for other people.
Absolutely. And we don't have to face these battles alone either.
That's a good point.
Just like Jesus had the support of angels.
Right.
We can draw strength from our communities, from our faith.
Yeah.
From the knowledge that others have walked this path before us.
It's that idea that,
and come out stronger.
The desert may test you.
Right.
But it'll also reveal your strength.
Exactly.
And maybe even more than that. Maybe it also reveals our capacity for compassion, forgiveness,
right,
and ultimately
I like that.
choosing love over fear.
Choosing love over fear. That's a good one.
And so with that, I think we're going to transition now into talking about some of the ways that this actually shows up in the text.
Let's do it.
It's like the desert is this incredible wellspring of, not just strength, but also these other qualities.
It is. And it makes you think, what if we approach those challenging times, those moments of temptation, as opportunities to cultivate those qualities.
Okay.
Instead of just trying to survive them.
Right. It's that shift in perspective.
It is. It's about recognizing that even in those difficult moments, there's potential for growth.
And that even if we stumble, even if we don't always make the perfect choice, we can still choose how we respond.
Absolutely. We always have that choice.
And that choice to respond with love, with compassion, with forgiveness.
It's huge. That's where the real transformation happens.
It is. And what's amazing about the source material?
Yeah.
Is that it doesn't present these ideas as just lofty ideals.
Okay.
It grounds them in very practical ways that we can actually apply.
So how do we take these big cosmic ideas and make them real in our own lives?
Exactly.
What are some concrete steps we can take?
Well, one of the things that the source emphasizes is the importance of awareness.
Okay.
Being present to the choices that we're making.
So not just going through life on autopilot.
Exactly, because so often we're just reacting to things that are happening to us. But when we cultivate awareness, we step into that space of choice.
And it's in that space that we can start to make decisions.
Exactly.
That are aligned with our values.
That are aligned with our deepest selves.
Right. And I think that's what this whole deep dive has really been about.
It's about recognizing that the story of Jesus's temptation in the desert isn't just some ancient tale.
Yeah.
It's a reflection of our own journey.
It's a mirror reflecting back.
Exactly.
Our own internal struggles, our own temptations, our own capacity for growth.
And it reminds us that even in the midst of our own personal deserts, we have the power to choose love.
To choose compassion.
To choose hope.
And ultimately, to emerge from those experiences stronger and more resilient than we ever thought possible.
Beautifully said.
And on that note, I think we'll wrap it up for today's deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.